All right, everyone, welcome back to my channel, Baseball Talk with Nick Morgan. Today, I am joined by Dan Alan Rourke. Dan, thank you so much for coming out here today, sitting down with me and doing this. I appreciate it.
Of course, man. Pumped to be here. Thank you for having me on.
So, Dan is the owner and the man behind some very successful Yankees pages all over social media. So if you want to go ahead, just drop those links for us so we can share it with everyone listening.
I own the brand Yankees Avenue, which you can find basically across all social media platforms: Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, and of course on YouTube as well. All under the name Yankees Avenue. We've been covering the Yankees since 2016. It's actually been a while now.
Nice.
But yeah, so Yankees Avenue on all platforms.
So TikTok's actually the one thing I haven't gotten into yet, which maybe I will. Maybe I will at 1,000, but right now, not yet.
It's tough. And I don't make TikToks, those cringy TikToks. I kind of just post baseball clips and Yankees throwbacks and stuff like that. But I mean, it's crazy because that's kind of where the market's expanding to. It's blowing up big time, especially over the last year. So yeah. I kind of felt the need that I had to just go to TikTok. So I kind of just bit the bullet and did that.
Nice. All right, so kind of just starting into it here with a couple questions about you. How did you get into writing and making videos about the Yankees and just baseball in general?
Yeah, so I've always been a huge Yankees fan, of course. But I would say right around my 8th grade in middle school, I started to take it a little bit more seriously. I applied to the first ever site I was with, Yanks Go Yard, which is, of course, an affiliation with Fanside, if you're not familiar. I started out with them. I was a lot more heavy into writing in the beginning of my quote-unquote career, I guess. I've kind of tapered away from that since. That's definitely where I started. I also started with unhingedyankees.com. So I kind of just threw myself out there courtesy of the internet. I always say this to anybody who's looking to get started. We are living in an ideal time right now to just make your own resume. Whereas the things that I'm doing right now, I would have had to gone to college for, gotten a degree in communications and media. Now, if you have a computer, if you have a phone, you can just do it. So yeah, I mean, I joined Unhinged Yankees, Yanks Go Yard, and then eventually, I guess it was 2016, I started Yankees Avenue on Instagram, which is where everything started. I started the YouTube channel, which was later named Yankees Avenue. So yeah, I was just always a big fan of baseball, and I just realized I kind of had the ability to create my own stuff, as everybody has that ability, including you. I know your stuff is getting pretty big. But yeah, I just always liked baseball, and I decided to bring it to social media, you know?
Yeah, I'm definitely trying to work myself down that same road. Journalism, communications, all for sports and baseball. So I definitely have a similar experience right now going through some of the same stuff. It's awesome.
You know, absolutely, man. We just keep grinding at it, you know. Like I said, this is the golden age for doing things like this. So I think we're in a good time in life.
So what is, for me, my first ever Yankees game was back in 2014, one of Derek Jeter's last home games of his career. Do you have a favorite memory of a Yankees game or just the Yankees in general, like watching them on TV?
Oh, man, there's a couple. Well, in terms of my first Yankee game that I went to, it was April 9th of 2012, I remember. The Yankees were playing the Orioles. It was in Camden Yards, actually. My first game was not at Yankee Stadium. I remember the Yankees won that game. Ivan Nova pitched. Derek Jeter went 4 for 4. So just for the fact that was my first game, it was obviously very memorable. But let me think. Probably my favorite moment I ever witnessed in person, I went to the 2018 wildcard game. Aaron Judge, when he hit that 2-run shot, I'm sure you know, most people know, I'm a huge Aaron Judge fan. So when he hit that 2-run bomb to open up the wildcard game in the first inning, that's probably my favorite moment I've witnessed live in person. Now, in terms of just on TV, my favorite moment, I mean, immediately what comes to mind is probably just the 2017 ALCS Game 4 comeback. I think most fans would probably go with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's too many to count on one hand. But if I had to pick one in person, it would be Judge's 2-run wildcard shot, and then the on TV would be the ALCS Game 4 comeback.
Nice.
Many great moments, though, for sure.
Yeah, of course. So, MLB The Show 20 just came out a couple days ago. I see you've been streaming it on YouTube. Do you have a favorite mode or something about that game that makes it stand out?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's always been franchise mode. I know the popular thing is Diamond Dynasty, and I've really tried to get into it. But for me, like I said, and we were discussing this before we came on, I'm a lot more of a Yankees fan than I am an MLB fan. So for me, it's a lot more entertaining to just have my own franchise. I'm like the virtual Aaron Boone of the Yankees because all I really care about is the Yankees. I am interested in MLB as well as a whole, but obviously a lot more of the Yankees. So really, every time I get MLB, every single year, ever since MLB 12, the show, first thing I do, turn on franchise, hit Yankees, and that's that. Let's roll. But I'll probably try Diamond Dynasty out at some point, and maybe Road to the Show. Road to the Show, I used to like that a lot more. But yeah, no, now it's really just franchise. That's really it, you know.
Yeah, my first MLB The Show game was 16 when I got my PlayStation. And I did a lot of Road to the Show 16, 17, and then 18, 19, 20. I've been huge on Diamond Dynasty. Like getting cards, building my own team, like that.
16 I remember vividly. That was by far and away the most, like the game I played Road to the Show, the absolute most. That was one of the games, the few MLB The Show games that I grinded Road to the Show at. But I don't know, I feel like this may be a hot take, but ever since they like added the whole story element to it, which they didn't have back in 16, ever since they added the story element to it, I think in 17, I don't know, just not as fun to me. But that's just my opinion.
See, no, I have the same exact opinion too, because like I like the whole storyline thing, but it's just like I want to play more than talk.
NBA 2K with it. They try to be like NBA 2K with it, and I guess the NBA like 2K My Career Mode is pretty solid with the whole story from what I've heard. I don't play it myself, but I really wish MLB just stuck to. I wish they just stayed doing what they were doing with 16.
It's definitely cool. Just I'd rather play a game than interact with other online fictional characters, you know, like that point.
Yeah, for sure. Totally.
So I've done a couple of videos on my channel talking about my memorabilia collection. I collect like bats, hats, baseball cards, everything. Are you a collector at all by anything?
Not as much as you would probably think. I mean, I definitely have some like collectible items. Not necessarily like I don't have a lot of like autographs. As I stare at my Yogi Berra on baseball right here, but that's one of the few that I do have. I'll kind of just get stuff like I'm not sure if you have a Game Day Sports up where you're at, but they just have these plaques. I'll get a lot of things like that. I'm not sure if I want to necessarily call them like collectibles, but kind of more so just like Yankee decor. I definitely have a lot of that. But you know, if I do have some collectibles, probably mostly A-Rod stuff, because how I am about Aaron Judge right now, that's how I was about A-Rod when he was playing. So I definitely have a lot of A-Rod stuff. But besides that, you know, I'm not too much of a collector.
Okay. Yeah, recently I got a mail day package in Aaron Judge autograph picture.
Nice.
That was
That's
awesome,
yo. I'm gonna try to get an Aaron Judge autograph eventually.
So what I did was I sent down last year to spring training. I sent him a letter and a picture just asking him to sign it and send it back. And I sent a self-addressed envelope and he sent it back and I got it.
No way.
Yeah, it's like months later, but it's really.
That's so awesome, though. What a guy! Wow,
yeah,
man.
Like really cool to
have. Every single day, more and more, why he's a man of the people.
Yeah,
that's so awesome, bro. Good for you.
Thank you. Yeah, so I'll send you a picture when we're off here. But it's him with his home run derby championship trophy.
Oh, nice. That was a good night, man. I remember that like it was yesterday.
That was awesome. All right,
nice.
So I think we're gonna expand into some MLB stuff at the moment. So
cool.
The big thing this offseason has to be headlined by the Astros cheating scandal, and we are both big on Altuve being stripped of the MVP, right?
Well, I mean, I would definitely want that to happen in an ideal world. I kind of know that wouldn't happen, so I kind of just dismissed that early on. Now, Judge, and I've made a video on this, Judge, he should have won MVP no matter what, cheating aside. He was the much better player. But yeah, no, I mean, clear cut, Jose Altuve stole the MVP from Judge. With the whole cheating thing, I didn't really expect them to take that away. I kind of wanted to see them take away the title, though, for sure. I think that was something they could have done.
Nice. Okay, so that was my follow-up question. Would you have wanted to see anything else being added to the punishment?
Oh, yeah. Now, at first, when the punishment came out, I don't even remember. What was the original punishment? It was like they lost draft picks, $5 million fine.
Yep.
A.J. Hinch and Luno were fired. That was it, right?
Well,
I remember...
It was just that they were suspended for a year. The Astros took it upon themselves to fire the two.
Yep.
So I think that was a little shaky on MLB's half. That made them look really bad for me.
I remember when the news first came out about their penalties, I was actually relatively pleased, believe it or not, because in terms of like penalties MLB will give out, that was one of the bigger ones we've seen.
Yeah.
But the more I heard about it, and once I heard players talk about it, this fully changed my mind. Once I heard players talk about it, that's when I was like, man, they really should strip the title. Because obviously, as a Yankees fan, I want them to strip the title, you know, but I try to separate myself from being a fan and what will actually happen. So I was kind of almost expecting them like to obviously not strip the title because it's really never been done before in terms of a situation like this. But honestly, at this point, I don't expect it to happen anymore. But no, yeah, I think they should have stripped the title for sure. I'm not sure if you feel the same way, but I think they should have.
Yeah, I do. I definitely feel the same way. I mean, I think what they did, especially when they admitted to using it in the postseason and in the World Series, I think that was sketchy.
And some Astros fans will use the excuse and be like, oh, well, we didn't use it in the World Series, it didn't help us win the actual World Series. Even if that is true, which I don't even believe it is, even if that is true, the fact that you cheated to get to the World Series makes it just as bad, you know?
Right.
Maybe if you don't cheat during the regular season, you don't win the AL West. Maybe if you don't cheat during the ALCS, you don't beat the Yankees in the ALCS, which is almost guaranteed in my opinion, because we saw how the Yankees performed against them at home, where they won every single game, and then they go to the road in Houston, and, you know, the Astros beat them by a couple runs. Very well could have been difference makers caused by cheating. So, I mean, man, even just talking about it right now gets me riled up.
Yeah.
I haven't talked about this in a little while.
Do you have any thoughts on like the buzzers? You think that was a thing, or
100%. And I talk about this a lot. There's no sensible way to me that the Houston Astros. Let me just put this in perspective. So the Houston Astros in 2017, they cheated so blatantly, and we know it. And they were very successful at it. They won the World Series. We honestly think that once the 2017 season ended, they just gained morals all of a sudden. It was like, hey, we're going to stop cheating.
Yeah, no.
Now, we know they cheated to begin the 2018 season, and then all of a sudden it just went away, apparently. I think that's kind of MLB turning a blind eye to the whole thing, because everybody knew about 2017. There was no way MLB could deny this. This was a bad look on baseball. There's no denying that at all. So I think they kind of wanted to, find evidence just in 2017, give them like a penalty, quote unquote penalty,
right,
and move on with it. But I think MLB knows, everybody knows. I think the Astros definitely cheated in 2018. We kind of know they cheated in 2018. It said that in the report a little bit as well. But 2019, I'm almost positive. Now, whether it was a buzzer or, trash cans against something, I definitely think they cheated in some capacity for sure. And I wouldn't be surprised if it was buzzers. I mean, Jose Altuve, when he was screaming not to rip his jersey off, come on. And then his excuses afterwards were because he's shy, and then he said because his wife would get upset with him. And then the other excuse was that he had a tattoo that wasn't looking nice. And I love what Gary Sanchez said about the whole thing, too. He's like, if I had a walk-off home run to send my team to the World Series, you can rip my pants off. And that's seriously how anybody normal would feel. And I think Cody Bellinger may have said it, too. And this is what I was talking about before. Once all the players came out about it, opposing players, that's what got me even more riled up, because you could see how pissed they were, and that surprised me. Because baseball players, they usually tend to stick together, and if you even go back to the steroid era, very rarely will players bash other players. They kind of are a tight-knit group, even if they are on opposing teams. But these players, if you weren't on the Houston Astros, any player that wasn't on the Houston Astros was tearing them apart, and that was fun to see. But Cody Bellinger, he said, if I hit a home run off of Aroldis Chapman to send my team to the World Series, you can do absolutely anything. So it is a lot suspicious that Jose Altuve didn't want his jersey ripped off, for sure.
We saw big stars, Mike Trout, Bellinger, as you mentioned. Justin Turner came out and was talking.
And I love seeing that. Nick Markakis, you remember what he said? He said they all deserved a beating. Yeah. That was satisfying to hear.
Yeah. So you mentioned how Major League Baseball kind of turned their back to the blind eye to it with the Astros. And that immediately, for me, links to the Boston Red Sox. What happened with them? They were supposed to get a punishment, and it just kind of all vanished.
Yeah, so their punishment, it's still going to be coming. But one thing, now people are going to think I'm defending the Red Sox. In terms of what we know, what the Astros did and what the Red Sox did, totally, totally different. From what I know, not saying I have inside information, though, just from what I can grasp from it, the Astros, how they cheated, that was all in real time. What the Red Sox did, I'm pretty sure it was more so in preparation. There was no it was more so they used technology to illegally help prepare them to be better suited to steal signs live in game. Yeah. Whereas the Astros, they legitimately just stole signs electronically with the use of the live monitor and the trash can. With the Red Sox, I think they were kind of just doing what MLB told the Red Sox, the Yankees, and other teams to stop doing in 2017. They kept doing what everybody else stopped doing. They were kind of just, and I remember reading, I think it was a Jules Sherman article in the New York Post. How he worded it was like this. So, say the speed limit is 50 miles an hour. The Red Sox were going 55, 60, kind of pushing it a little bit in that 50-mile-an-hour zone, whereas the Astros, they were going 95 and a 50. You know what I'm saying?
Full throttle.
So, there is a big difference between what the Astros did and what the Red Sox did. I don't think we should, as far as what I know from reading what I have read, I don't think we should look at the Astros 2018 title as tainted as the Houston Astros 2017 title. But then again, we don't know the whole story. We kind of just got to wait for the report. I'm not sure when that's going to come, though. I don't think anybody really knows. It was supposed to come out like 2 months ago.
Yeah, they said, oh, yeah, it'd be out by Friday, and it wasn't out by the end of the week, and now it's just delayed till whenever.
Yeah, no, so I'm not sure when that's going to come out. I look forward to it, though, because, hey, maybe they did cheat as bad as the Houston Astros. Just as of right now, I don't think we can really make that claim.
Yeah. And, I mean, whatever they do, like, Cora's gone already, and I did hear that
that's all I needed, honestly. The fact that AJ Hinch and Alex Cora out of jobs, so those are the two I cannot stand. Out of all of baseball, even before this all went on, two people, along with Jose Altuve, that I hate the absolute most of baseball. So as long as they're out of jobs, which they are, now I would not be surprised. Watch this. I would not be surprised if Alex Cora manages the Red Sox again one day.
You think
AJ
so?
Hinch, no, he won't manage the Astros again. I would not be surprised if Alex Cora manages the Red Sox again. Maybe even next year, believe it or not, 2021. That's a little hot take by me. I don't know, but
what do you think about Carlos Beltran, his future managing? Do you think?
I don't know, because I'm sure he'll be back in the game in some capacity. He probably won't start out as a manager right away. I don't know. That's honestly a good question. I'm really not too sure about that. If I had to say likelihood of the three big horsemen getting back into baseball, Alex Cora, AJ Hinch, and Carlos Beltran, I would definitely say Alex Cora will probably be first. Then Carlos Beltran. I'm not too sure if AJ Hinch will be back managing the game, But with Beltran, I mean, he seemed to be, apparently he was a pretty large force in that whole thing that went down, and he was kind of like pressuring, I'm not sure how true that is, but reports said he was like pressuring players to go alongside it. And Beltran, he was always supposed to be like the goody two-shoes in Major League Baseball. Everybody always loved him,
Yeah.
But I don't know. I can't really give an answer. I'm not too sure. It'll be interesting to see if he manages again.
Yeah. Because I'm sure that was his last year, right before he retired.
Yep, 2017.
Yeah, and he didn't get punished. Like, none of the players got punished, which is kind of what got me boiled the most and, like, upset the most. None of the players got punished for anything, but it's hard to pick out who's who and who's doing what. But Beltran leaving... Go ahead.
No, you can go ahead. Sorry.
You're good. Beltran leaving the Mets was the Mets' decision and supposedly mutual, but they say that for everything. So I don't know if he's completely out of the game. Like, I think he does have a future maybe in a couple of years. This might just be a slap on the wrist.
Yeah, no, I mean, it seems like everything about this has been a slap on the wrist so far. But in terms of Beltran, I don't know, because it's tough, because we know he is a really good baseball mind, at least from what we hear. Yeah. So I feel like eventually, some teams sooner or later, they're going to want, he is kind of like a sexy name in a way, and so is Alex Cora and AJ Hinch. So I could totally see like a team and I'm talking like a few years down the line, want to get a manager that, has some buzz to the name, get it, buzz, has some buzz to his name. And I'm sure at one point they'll be back, Yeah, it is funny. They always say mutual way. They always say, like, oh, we mutually parted ways. No, you didn't. You were fired, Beltran.
Right.
Beltran wanted to stay. He wanted to stay.
Yeah.
And Brody Van Wagen, it was like, yeah, we can't really do this. A lot of people were blaming the Mets, too, and be like, oh, typical Mets, hire a guy who was involved in the hugest cheating scandal in baseball history. It wasn't their fault. He was hired before this even came out, just to put that out there.
So kind of going into this 2020 season, or what that might consist of, how do you think, because we of course know nothing as fans at the moment, but what do you think the schedule is going to look like? What are you excited for? What do you think is going to end up happening with this year?
Well, in terms of what the schedule is going to look like, up until a couple of days ago, I figured we were still going to get a 162 game season in. Now, just from what people are saying, I feel like that's probably not going to happen, or at least it has a higher chance of not happening than it did a week ago. So maybe we'll play like an 81 game season. It depends, because if the season can come back in the middle of May, which is like the earliest it would come back, then we can get a 162 game season. I just feel like, and you would probably agree with this, I'm not sure if that can really happen, at least the way things are looking right now. Like, I feel like the situation is going to get worse before it gets better, obviously talking about the coronavirus. But believe it or not, this is going to be such a hot take, and people are going to be surprised, and maybe not surprised to hear this from me. I am glad this is happening in terms of MLB's effect. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I'm glad the season has gotten suspended for one reason. Aaron Judge, he will be healthy for opening day. I'm not going to have to hear anything about, any haters saying Aaron Judge missed time again this year. As of right now, he's healthy and ready to go for opening day. This does benefit the Yankees in a lot of ways. Giancarlo Stanton, he's going to be healthy. James Paxton, he's going to be healthy. Now, we know the Yankees, this is all bearing another injury that probably will happen. But as of right now, I mean, the Yankees are kind of looking out in all this. Now, we don't want to see the whole season go away. That would suck. Right. I do think we'll play baseball at some point. I think at some point baseball will be played. I don't think the season's going to be totally evaporated. I think at the least we'll fit in like an 81-game schedule, and then postseason. Postseason may be a little bit different. They may include some more teams. But, I mean, honestly, this whole thing, it's just going to make it all that much better once we do have everything back. And that's not just talking about baseball. That's just life in general, you know? Like, yeah, right now, this sucks. Everything's different. Everything's boring. Everything's quarantined. But when everything goes back to normal, we'll just appreciate it that much more, you know?
And I was actually going to bring up the Judge, the Stanton injuries, everything. The only thing that the Yankees really don't benefit from with this situation is Domingo Germán. With the suspension that he still has to kind of play out. But, I mean, is he kind of a big factor for the Yankees? Is he going to make a bigger difference?
I think absolutely, actually. I think Domingo Germán, and some fans aren't even going to want to admit it, but Domingo Germán, he's going to play a big role for the Yankees, especially with Luis Severino going down.
Yeah.
Now, if you look at our rotation right now, with Severino out for the year and Paxton healthy, you're looking at Cole, Paxton, Tanaka, Happ, Montgomery. That's a solid rotation.
Yeah.
Domingo Germán, now, he wasn't as good as everybody may think an 18-game winner automatically was, you know, because he won 18 games last year. He had an ERA about 4. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Baseball Savant, but it kind of just it measures like peripheral stats, how good a pitcher actually was. And he was like a little bit above average. But I think Domingo Germán, you know, when he does come off the restricted list, I'm sure a pitcher is going to be hurt, so we are going to need him. And he was real filthy for a good portion of last year. So, I mean, you always need pitching. You can never have enough pitching. So I think he is going to play a big role for us. If we do play an 81-game season, then Domingo Germán, if I'm the Yankees, I just say, you know, just get ready for the playoffs if they can use him, if they think he is going to be a usable player. Because he has 63 games left to serve on that suspension. If we're only playing 81 games, then he's only going to be back for a couple weeks.
Right.
And I'm not sure how that all works in terms of roster, you know, configuration. But, you know, it sucks what he did. Obviously, I don't endorse what he did, but, you know, he is a player for the Yankees, and a lot of people think he's just going to get cut, and that's just not going to happen. So, yeah, Domingo Germán, I think he's definitely going to play a role in 2020.
So before we get into the big Yankees questions that I have regarding the season, the winter, everything, we'll just, you know, of course, we kind of have to talk about the 2 minor leaguers with the Yankees who have already tested positive for corona. Just like, what, you know, out of all teams, it has to be us, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it is funny. Of course it's us. But it's funny. I read an article this morning, too, and that MLB is preparing for the inevitable first case of an MLB player, not a minor league, an MLB player testing positive. Because I feel like sooner or later, and I feel like you might agree, it's going to happen.
Yep.
You know, I feel like everybody's going to test positive. Like, there's a chance me and you have it, and we don't even know it right now. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like it's only a matter of time before we see a bunch of MLB players testing positive. Because what, didn't like Kevin Durant in the NBA test positive the other day?
Yeah, he has. I think there's a couple other basketball players that tested positive. You have a couple actors who've tested positive and stuff. It's all over.
It's crazy. I mean, we've never seen this before.
Yeah.
And I think, as I said before, I think it's going to get worse before it gets better.
And especially with, like, the traveling, too. Like, they wanted everyone, like, all players to go back to their homes. Like, traveling via plane or jet, whatever. You have that. And then you have just going back to where they're from. Like, you don't know how exposed or underexposed it is. I think it's kind of like what you said, just bound to happen sooner than later. All right, so we had a bit of a technical difficulty that we're back with Dan Alan Rourke from Yankees Avenue. Now, we were talking about the coronavirus, how it hit the minor leagues with the Yankees. I kind of want to quickly touch on that quick Gary Sanchez scare we had with the coronavirus. There was an article that came out saying that he might have it, and it was just the flu.
Yeah, nah, he's fine, thankfully. I guess, and I didn't know this actually until I read this article. I guess if you test positive for the flu, that means you can have coronavirus. Am I correct on that? Isn't that what the article said?
Oh, I actually didn't even get that far into the article. I'm not even sure.
That's what I saw, that the Yankees didn't even test him for coronavirus because he tested positive for the flu, and I guess that means you can have the coronavirus or something. So just something for the people at home to know, I guess.
Nice.
You know, I'm not a doctor, but that's what I read.
All right, so into our big Yankees news this winter, of course, Garrett Cole was our man. And he got locked down 9 years, $324 million. How successful do you think he's going to be in a Yankees uniform?
Oh, I mean, I think he's going to be exactly what we need. He's going to be what CeCe Sabathia was 2009 through 2012. He's going to be an absolute ace. Going to go 7 to 8 innings, I feel like, almost every start. I know a lot of people get nervous when big-time free agents come to New York. Can they handle the pressure? I don't even have a smidge of doubt when it comes to Garrett Cole. He's going to be exactly what we need. How he does in the regular season, I don't really care. Now, I think he's going to do good, but, what we need him for is the postseason. I think if you put Garrett Cole on our team last year in the ALCS, swap him from Houston to the Yankees, I think we win that series. And it's a big thing that not many people are talking about is the Astros no longer have Garrett Cole. Not only do we get him, we subtracted him from the Astros, who they've always been kind of our biggest threat when it comes to winning the World Series, as we've seen in the past couple of years with them cheating too, of course. But I think he's going to be exactly what we need.
Yeah, I'm really on that same train. I think maybe for like a start or two, potentially at the beginning of the year, there might be some like Sonny Gray type moments where he gets a little nervous. He might not perform.
I'm sure.
His best,
I don't think it'll come down to nerves. I think it'll just come down to what every pitcher goes through. There'll be a couple days, probably a handful of starts where he just doesn't have his stuff, and that's fine. I mean, he's not going to be good every single time now. I figure he's going to win, 20 games, have an ERA, probably sub 3, maybe right around 3. He'll be Garrett Cole, I think, and he'll be ready to go come playoff time.
So this Mookie Betts trade, or kind of what happened, we had two separate trades that went on. The one originally, the Twins backed out, and then we had to fix some things up. But how important is that for the rivalry going forward?
What, that the Red Sox don't have Mookie Betts?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the Red Sox, and we just saw yesterday that they announced Chris Sale getting Tommy John surgery.
Yeah.
The Red Sox, it's not going to be a fun year for their fans, for sure. I was always saying that the Red Sox might win still 85, maybe even 90 games. That was back when they had Betts. But within a month span, we've seen them lose Betts, Price, and now Sale. So I'd be surprised if they even win 75 games. I mean, it's kind of one thing I will give the Red Sox, though. They're good at quick turnarounds. We've seen it before. So, I mean, yeah, they're going to be bad in 2020, probably 2021 as well. But I wouldn't be surprised if within the next couple of years they're right back contending at the top of the AL East with us, because, I mean, we're not going anywhere soon.
Right.
Anyways, but for the foreseeable future in the near couple of years or so, at least the next year, yeah, they're going to be pretty bad.
Do they have a manager at this point? I don't even know.
They have an interim manager. I think it was their bench coach or something like that.
Okay.
Once again, I wouldn't be surprised if they rehired Alex Cora in a year. But yeah, I think right now they have like their interim manager. I think it's their bench coach from last year. I'm not positive though.
So I'd like to kind of say I think we're definitely the favorites now in most rivalry series for probably a couple seasons, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, there's still going to be fun series, just from the history of it. But yeah, I'd say we definitely have the upper hand in those series.
Now, what's going to be more fun to watch in 2020? Yankees in Boston or Yankees in Houston?
Yankees in Houston, for sure. Honestly, even the last couple of years, maybe 2018 aside, that's always been the more interesting series to me. I love Yankees versus Houston. It's fascinating to me. Even going back to last year, I think it was around August, I posted this on Yankees Avenue. I posted pictures from the 2017 ALCS, and I was like, I can't wait for this to happen again. Because, I felt like it was kind of known that we were going to have a rematch in 2019, and it got me amped up. I think we have a pretty awesome rivalry, and I actually want the Astros to make the playoffs this year. I want to face them again. I want to beat them. So, maybe I'll sound a little stupid if they beat us this year somehow, but, I think that's going to be pretty exciting still, especially with the revenge side of it that we now have,
Yeah. So we've seen Miguel Andujar in his rookie campaign. He did some great things, was the runner-up in the Rookie of the Year award in the American League, of course, the Shohei Ohtani. Do you think he could pull off this outfield gig for the Yankees moving forward?
I think he can play outfield a lot better than he can play third base. He's actually looked pretty good to me in left field. He's looked comfortable. I don't really want to ever see him at third base ever again unless we absolutely have to. Now, Miguel Andujar, I've been one of the few. I like Miguel Andujar a lot. But people mistake me saying that he has a lot of areas he needs to improve on. They mistake me saying that from them. People think that I think he's bad, essentially, which is not the case at all. I think he has a lot of potential. His rookie year, he had a 130 weighted runs created plus. That means he was 30% above league average offensively, which that is really, really impressive. A lot of people think he probably should have won Rookie of the Year that year. But defense, if he is going to play third base at all, that has to improve. And also for a 297 hitter, I would like to see him take a little more walks, get his on-base percentage up because, yeah, he had 297 in his rookie year. but his OBP was only 327. That should be a little bit higher. Maybe if we could even see it go to like the 340s, I'd be okay with that. But yeah, Miguel Andujar, I mean, he's still young. He gets a lot of comps to Adrian Beltre. I just think there's some avenues of play that he has to improve on. But yeah, left field, I think he's actually pretty decent. So I'm a lot more comfortable with him in the outfield, believe it or not, than third base.
Now, do you think kind of the next couple of years he has a foreseeable future with the Yankees? And if we have a healthy Judge, healthy Stanton, like Hicks out there, and maybe someone already in the DH spot, does he still stay with us? Or is he kind of moving forward?
Well, in terms of the outfield, if everybody's healthy, then no, he won't be an outfielder. Maybe if he does, I mean, he can improve on his defense in third base. I can't say he can. So, I mean, if he can improve his defense at third base, I wouldn't be surprised if he's just our third baseman. Or if not, I mean, if his bat's good enough, just hold on to him and make him the DH. I'm not sure if they want to do that because they have Stanton, who, if it were up to me, I'd probably just put Stanton at kind of like a full-time DH just to, hopefully limit any injuries. But, Miguel Andujar, maybe if he has a good first half this year, we can trade him for a pitcher. Or maybe if he has a good full season, we can trade him in the offseason. He definitely has value, whether it's with us or another team. That's yet to be seen. But, I mean, one thing we can say is that he is very athletic, and I think he's a smart kid. So I think if he works hard enough, he can probably figure out third base. It would probably take a full mechanical change with the way he throws. But, I mean, it really comes down to what position he plays, if he's going to have a future with us. But, yeah, I don't know. It remains to be seen. We'll have to see.
So, of course, Gio Urshela last year stepped up into a huge role trying to fill in Miguel Andujar's shoes. And he comes in and just destroys the baseball, does very well both offensively and defensively for the New York Yankees. Does he repeat that season in 2020 whenever the season does start?
See, it's funny you ask because every year I do projections, like stat projections for Yankees Avenue on Instagram. And I do basically every starting player, every important player. And Gio Urshela, he would file under important player. I actually did not do one for him this year simply for the fact that I think it's just impossible to predict. Anybody that puts out a Gio Urshela stat prediction this year, I think they're just entirely guessing. We don't know what kind of player he is. Now, there is one thing that kind of gives me the benefit of the doubt towards him is that last year, when he came with us, when he was with us, he was absolutely raking. And then he went on a little 2-week slump, if you remember. It was I think sometime in August.
Yep.
And then you start to think, oh man, maybe he's coming back down to earth. Maybe he's not all that great. And then he picked it back up again, which that's impressive to see. And we also saw him have some pretty decent at-bats in the postseason. His overall stats weren't great in the playoffs, but he did have some pretty good at-bats, hit a couple home runs. So, I mean, I would like to figure he'll be, a pretty good major league hitter again for us. Defensively, I know the analytics aren't on his side, but from the eye test, he looks pretty damn good at third base. So that alone is enough for me to start him at third base. But yeah, I mean, is he going to hit 320 again or whatever he hit, 315 with 21 home runs? I doubt it. But maybe he'll hit 300 with 15 home runs while playing good defense. I'll take that. So, I mean, that's a tough one to answer. I would like to say yes, but I wouldn't be surprised if the answer is no, that Gio Urshela is not that good as he was last year. We'll just have to see.
Yeah. So kind of on the same topic here, DJ LeMahieu came in, had a huge season last year for us as our second baseman. He played first, I think, for a little bit as well. Does he kind of come back to earth, like as you mentioned, in 2020? Does he just continue to rake?
No, I actually believe, I think he's going to be pretty similar to what he was last year. Like I said before, I mentioned the baseball savant stats that show peripheral stats and show how good a player really was. It shows weighted batting average, weighted on base average, all this kind of stuff. DJ LeMahieu, it showed he was really as good as the stats showed in 2019. So same thing with Gio. Maybe he won't hit as many home runs because the juice ball is apparently going away. We don't know if that's true or not, but apparently it's going to go back to the normal ball. So maybe his home run total isn't 26 like it was last year, but I still expect him to hit 300 to 320, maybe 15 to 20 home runs. I think DJ LeMahieu will be almost identical to the player he was last year. He's good. I mean, you can tell last year he's a damn good major league hitter.
Yeah. So for the little time we had spring training, we saw some big things happen with some different players throughout the Yankees organization, and a big guy who caught a lot of people's eye was Rosell Herrera. What are your thoughts on him? Does he make it up to the big leagues this year with us? Does he have a big impacting role with the Yankees?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised with how all the injuries, we know how injuries go down in New York. I'm sure there'll be some injury that'll make Rosell a player that we need, and maybe he'll be this year's Gio Urshela. Now, he definitely looks like a player that can rake. He looks, not jacked, he just looks like a very athletic baseball player, and he looks like he can do damage. He looked pretty good in spring training. I don't know too much about him other than what we've seen so far into the spring or what we saw in spring. But, yeah, I mean, I like to think he's going to be a player that's going to help out a little bit because as much as you don't want there to be injuries, there's going to be injuries. So, yeah, I'm sure at some point he'll get an opportunity and hopefully he's successful when he does.
Nice. So you're kind of jumping back to the winter. The Yankees really, the big significant guy they picked up, of course, was Garrett Cole, who we already talked about. But the one major, I guess you can kind of say, loss was Dylan Betances as he goes to the Mets. How big do you think that's going to be for the bullpen with the Yankees this year?
I don't think it'll be too much of a problem. Our bullpen was terrific last year, and we didn't have Dylan Betances.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of Dylan, but I think it's pretty easy to see he is on the decline. Even spring training with the Mets this year, his velocity was really, really low, and that's what we always see from Dylan. Usually he starts out throwing like 90 to 92. But, I mean, when you're coming off an arm injury, you're coming off a leg injury, because we know a pitcher's legs are almost as important as their arm,
Yeah.
With Dylan Betances, I mean, I don't know. Maybe he'll still be good for the Mets, but I don't really think we lost out on too much. We got the good Dylan years, and I think we'll be all right because we were successful with Adam last year. I think we'll be just fine this year.
Yeah, and I'm on the same page as you. I mean, last year he pitched to 2 batters, I think, against the Angels and struck them both out. And that was late September.
Against the Blue Jays in Toronto.
Blue Jays, yep, there we go. And
also, Jonathan Loaiziga, I think he can be the next form of Dylan Betances or Chad Green. So I think we'll see a good year out of him, and maybe that will make losing Dylan a little bit easier. I think Loaiziga, name to watch, will be good out of the bullpen. He has good stuff.
Yeah. I know talking Yanks and John Boy and talking Jake, they're all really big on Johnny L. So
are they?
Yeah. They like what he has in
he's
store.
good. He's good. He should be, at least.
Yeah. Do you have any big, like bold predictions for the Yankees in 2020? Anything kind of like out there for the season?
All right, so I have like 2, but really only one of them is the bold. My one prediction is Aaron Judge wins MVP this year, assuming he stays healthy, assuming we play a full season and there's MVP awards. Aaron Judge wins MVP. But here has been my bold prediction. I actually mentioned this on another podcast, but I'm going to say it on this one. If, say the balls are still juiced in 2020, say they don't get rid of them, say the ball is the exact same baseball they used in 2019 that led to all these home runs, say the ball is juiced in 2020 and Aaron Judge is healthy or Giancarlo Stanton, I'm saying if there's still a juiced ball and they're healthy, Aaron Judge or Giancarlo Stanton, one of them hits over 60 home runs. There's that. So? How's that sound for you?
All right, hey, I like that.
That's on. We're talking bold. I don't actually think that's going to happen.
Right, like
but
bold,
if the ball's still juiced, Stanton and Judge are healthy, one of them hits more than 60 home runs. Because Stanton, he would have done it in 2017 if he had the 2019 ball.
Yeah.
And we know Judge probably the same deal. So I mean, who knows? There's a little bold prediction for you.
Now, is that still with the 81 potential game season, or is that 162?
No, I mean that would be with 162. Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. I haven't really thought too much about the 81 game season, so I probably have to get back to you on that, on a bold prediction that relates to that one. But I don't know. I mean, I think the Yankees win the World Series this year. I have Judge winning MVP. But yeah, besides that, I can't really think of too many off the top of my head. Maybe I do have one. Okay. Masahiro Tanaka. I think Masahiro Tanaka, and this isn't really a bold prediction, I think he's going to have a really, really nice year. He's introducing a cutter to his arsenal this year. And in spring training, there were some points where he looked like a whole different pitcher, and I love Masahiro Tanaka. I think there could be a chance we see him win 15 to 18 games this year. Not that win-loss matters really at all, but maybe have like a 3 to a 3.4 ERA. So here's kind of a bold prediction. Masahiro Tanaka, lowest ERA he's had since 2016. He has in 2020.
Yeah, I definitely don't think he's an underrated player, but I do think he's slightly overlooked in some terms.
He's just like, he's a true definition of just a competitor, you know, no matter how good he's doing in the season, no matter what his last start looked like. Whenever we're giving the ball to Masahiro Tanaka, I feel confident. If I open up my MLB at-bat app and I see Tanaka's pitching today, I feel we have a shot to win, you know?
Yeah. And especially I think when outsiders kind of look in on the Yankees and they see Garrett Cole as the face of that rotation, I think Tanaka's going to get overlooked. He definitely has, like you mentioned, I think a very good potential for 2020.
I think Tanaka's just perfect for his role. Like, when everybody's healthy, he's a good number 3 or a 4 that turns it up for the postseason. We just know that's what Tanaka's going to be for us. You know, he's going to be pretty good with some bad clunkers in the regular season, and then come October, he's just going to turn it up. You know, so I think we all kind of come to terms with what Tanaka is. You know, He's obviously not as good as he was during the 2014 season, his first season in the MLB. But I mean, I'm pretty satisfied with what he's done for us so far.
Now, for me, ever since Derek Jeter retired back in 2014, my favorite player on the team has always been Brett Gardner. Now, what do you think about him? Do you think he continues to sign these one-year contracts? Do you think he's almost done? How do you think he plays a role for the Yankees this year?
I bet he's back after this year on another one-year deal. I'm sure he'll probably sign another 1 year after that. But yeah, no, I mean, he had a career year last year in terms of the power department. That's another player, I think, once again, assuming the juice balls do go away, he's not going to hit 28 home runs. He probably won't even hit 20. Maybe he will. But, I mean, he's going to be a good player for the Yankees. He may not be starting come postseason time once Hicks is back, because then you're looking at an outfield with Judge and right, Hicks in center, probably Talkman in left, and then Stan DH. But Gardner, he will see time no matter what. Even though he is 37, he still is pretty fleet of foot still. I mean, he still kind of has some speed. He's not going to steal 30 bags or 40 bags like he used to, but he can probably still swipe you 10 to 15. So, I mean, I think he's just going to have a typical Brett Gardner year minus the power we saw last year. I don't think he's only going to hit 5 home runs, but I don't know. I don't see him hitting 28,
Yeah. So, with the news that we have at the moment, of course, assuming that Judge and Stan are both healthy for opening day, whenever that presumably will be, what does your opening day lineup look like, either in the fielding-wise, defensively, or your 1 through 9 in the batting order?
So, I've sat down and I've tried to come up with a 1 through 9 the last couple months, and I honestly am not too sure about it. I can definitely give you a defensive alignment.
Okay.
Catching Gary, first base Voit, second base LeMahieu, third base Gio, shortstop Glaber, right field Judge, center field Gardner, left field Talkman, DH Stan. Now that's kind of what I would do. I have a feeling they may put Stanton in left field and put Andujar at DH, because I think the Yankees want to get Andujar into the lineup a lot more than I would. And there's also Clint Frazier. Now, if you talk about the biggest winners and losers from this MLB season being suspended, winners, Judge, Stanton, Paxton, losers, Andujar, Frazier, because they were both looking at like locks, basically, to be in the opening day lineup. Now, not so much, but I wouldn't be surprised if Andujar is still in there. But if it were up to me, I would put Talkman out there and left and then Stanton, DH.
Yeah, Frazier was actually one of my kind of next topics to get into here, because he's definitely shown that he could produce at a major league level, especially in one of the biggest uniforms in Major League Baseball. He plays with the New York Yankees, and he could swing the bat. He could play a decent defense in the outfield. Do you think
his offense is good? That we know.
Yeah.
There's no question there. When he did get consistent playing time in the beginning of the 2019 season, he was really good offensively. I wouldn't say really good. He was pretty damn solid. And he was electric. I remember tweeting out, I feel this was like May. I was like, I feel the same way I do about Clint Frazier right now than I did at the beginning of Judge in 2017. Now, in hindsight, that may have been a little bit of a stretch, but I do remember feeling that way. But it just goes to show offensively, he can be a spark in the lineup. As for his defense, it's not been good, but fortunately, I think a lot of that stems from him just being a little bit nervous. I think he has to get off to a good start defensively in 2020, because if, say, he, misplays a fly ball or a ground ball to left field gets past him, if that starts, then I think you're just starting the merry-go-round early, and it's going to be a tough year defensively for Clint, because it all comes down to confidence, I believe. So, I mean, if he can, get a couple good plays under his belt early on in the outfield, I think we're looking at a much better situation with Clint. But, yeah, I mean, now's the time. There's really no more Clint's not the young 22-year-old anymore. It's like you either are a part of this team or you're not. So I think 2020, that's a big year for him. He either has to produce with us this year, or we're probably looking at another Greg Bird, or we'll just have to trade him away. So 2020 is a big season for him.
So as the foreseeable future kind of comes into terms here with Frazier, we could probably get a decent return from him, I would assume. If we were to ship him off somewhere, maybe get like a bottom-of-the-end rotation guy.
I was going to say, probably maybe you can get like at best, maybe a 3 starter for him, but I wouldn't even say that. Probably a 4 or a 5. If he can prove, say come July, he proves that he can play defense and he is as good offensively as he was in the beginning of last year, then, we could probably get something good for him, But the defense as of right now, and also, he has had some, I don't want to say character issues, that makes it sound like, he's a bad dude, but he's a little bit of a diva. We saw in his interviews last year, he kind of can be a little bit, I think you know what I'm saying. He can kind of be a little bit hot-headed, I feel like, if that's the word. But, he's, I don't know, head case, that's kind of the word. He was a little bit of a head case last year. But, I mean, if you play well, you play well. So, I don't know. I'm actually looking forward to that, see what Clint does this year. Same with Andujar.
Now, assuming that Frazier can continue to bring the bat to the MLB, that level of gameplay, and that he does improve defense a bit here and there, would you take Andujar over Frazier or vice versa? Or, like, if we only had to pick one, who would you keep?
And you said if they both improve on defense?
Yes.
Well, that would just come down to positional need. Then I would take Andujar because outfield-wise, we're stacked, and that's not even just talking about right now. If you look at, like, prospects, we still have Estevan Florial. We don't know what he's going to be. And then there's Jason Dominguez waiting as well. He's probably only a couple years away at this point. I wouldn't be surprised if he's up at 18 or 19, to be honest. But, yeah, I would take Andujar simply for the fact that third base right now, we're just looking at Gio Urshela, unless I'm not thinking of a prospect in the minor leagues. But, yeah, I would take Andujar just for the fact that they are very similar players.
Yeah.
Whereas offensively, they can be really good. Defensively, not so much right now. But, yeah, I mean, if they both improved on defense, I would probably go with Andujar just because positional depth.
Do you think we have a weak spot position-wise with the Yankees? I know first base, we're going to have Luke Voit, but if anything happens to him, he goes down. Maybe LeMahieu or...
And Ford. We had Ford, too.
Yep.
That's the good thing about this team, and we saw this last year. We even saw it in 2018, even 2017 as well. The depth that Brian Cashman and the Yankees front office constructs for this team, it should be just saluted. It's tremendous. That's why we were able to stomach all the injuries last year. Now, in terms of like a weakness we have, not in terms of depth, because we kind of maybe in our middle infield a little bit, but then we have Tyler Wade, so I can't even say that, and Tyler Estrada. Maybe just the fact that our lineup isn't all that balanced. We don't have too many lefties in there.
Yeah.
If that's a problem or not, that's kind of up to each individual person. Some people say, yes, it's a problem. Some people say, no, it's not a problem. So, I mean, no, I don't really think we have too much weakness. Now, our rotation, I would have said yes a couple weeks ago, but now with Paxton back, not so much. Because, I mean, once Paxton went down and Severino went down, you were looking at a rotation with Jay Happ as our number 3 starter. Thankfully, that's not going to be the case, at least as of right now. So, yeah, I would say our only weakness is probably just our balance in the lineup, if you want to call that one.
Do you think that losing Romine or Maben this offseason is going to be a problem? Because I know now, for the Yankees, our backup catcher is Kyle Higashioka, and he's had a pretty, for lack of better words, rocky MLB appearances. His offense hasn't been great, but he does have a pretty good glove back there. What do you think about?
Yeah, no, I mean, with Higashioka, I wouldn't even look at any offensive sample size in the MLB. He really hasn't played that much in the MLB, but in the minor leagues, he's had some success offensively, and we know defensively he's better than Romine. Romine is one of those players that people liked because they didn't like Gary Sanchez. Romine was not that good. I actually anticipate Kyle Higashioka being better than Romine, better offensively and better defensively. As for Cameron Maben, I mean, the only reason that sucks is just because I liked him. You like Cameron Maben, you hate to see him go. You're kind of attached to him because of the next man up squad.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's not going to be a loss, really, by any means. I mean, our outfield depth is really good. We have Mike Tauchman. We have Clint Frazier. Like, where it sits right now, Clint Frazier is our 5th outfielder. So, I mean, we'll be just fine. I miss Cameron Maben. He was a fun player to watch. He was an exciting guy. But we'll be just fine,
So, one of my last couple questions before we kind of end it out is, for the Yankees, we've had some really good, rallies. We had that big thumbs down movement a couple years back. Last year, it was Savages in the Box with Aaron Boone. Does that kind of prevent them come back into 2020? Do we establish something else? Is it Aaron Boone behind it again? Do you think that's important to the team? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be something. I think it'll be something Judge starts, or Guardy. I feel like Judge is always in the middle of it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no, there'll be something, whether it's – I mean – I was kind of done with the whole next man up thing, but once all the injuries were happening, I was bringing that hashtag back. I'm not sure if that'll be it or not. But yeah, no, I'm sure there'll be something. I even remember last year, we didn't even know what the meaning was. But remember when every time a Yankee would do something, they would do the 4 fingers? They would do that.
Yep.
And Meredith Moroccas would be like, what does that mean? And they wouldn't tell us. So I don't know. I'm sure there'll be something like that to start the season that we're all wondering, what are they doing? What is that sign they're doing? But I don't know. Yeah, there'll be something. And we'll probably figure it out sooner or later.
And I definitely think it's really beneficial for the players. Let them have fun. Let the kids play. That's what it's all about. And I think that's just a really cool aspect of the game.
Chemistry, it is important for sure. And this Yankee team, this whole core has had great chemistry. So, yeah, I'm not concerned about that really at all. They'll figure something out. It'll be fun to watch.
Yeah. So, what does your all-time Yankees team look like? If you got to pick any players for each position, what would it be?
Oh, boy. All right. Is this my favorite or, best?
Whatever you want. If you want to do 2, you can do 2. favorite,
I'm
best?
gonna go favorite because
Okay.
it's gonna be heavy heavy filled with players from the 21st century. But catcher would be Gary Sanchez because, believe it or not, Gary Sanchez is one of my favorite players. He was my favorite player before Aaron Judge. First base, Mark Teixeira. Second base, Robinson Cano. Shortstop, Derek Jeter. Third base, Alex Rodriguez, of course.
Yeah.
Right field, Aaron Judge. Center field, probably. I don't know. That's tough. I would probably go with maybe either 2011 Curtis Granderson or current Aaron Hicks. And then left field, I'm definitely going to forget somebody in left field. Who do I want to put out in left field? You know, we'll just put Stan out there and call it a day. I mean, I could go from guys, you know, from all of history, but I'm talking about players that I've watched personally. That was kind of like my favorite list. Not best, obviously, because if it was best, it would look a lot different. But that'd be a pretty damn good team. That team probably won like 120 games. That team I just listed.
So for my favorites, I think I'm gonna kind of try to use a couple other guys from last century and everything. But
yeah, no, that's good.
Catcher, I was always really big on Thurman Munson growing up. Huge
That's a
Thurman
good pick.
Munson
That's a
guy.
good pick.
So if it wasn't Munson, I'd go Sanchez, but I think I'm gonna go Thurman Munson. I like Lou Gehrig at first. I also like Mark Teixeira, though. It's kind of it's definitely a pick or choose. It's kind of heads or tails.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going based on like who's the better player, of course it's Lou Gehrig.
Yeah.
But I mean, favorite Mark Teixeira. If that's the one you watched, I totally get that. That's the one that I picked because I just like Mark Teixeira.
Yeah.
Oh,
So then at second base, I liked Robbie Cano. I was never too big on him, so I'm going to go with DJ LeMahieu because he's a current guy. He definitely has a really nice future with us. Then A-Rod at third base, of course. Derek Jeter at short. Then Gardner in left field. I talked about how I'm big on him, how he's one of my favorite guys. Gardner, Babe Ruth, obviously, and Aaron Judge, I think I'd have to go with. And yeah, just kind of thinking like currently or like present guys, Sanchez, Teixeira, DJ, A-Rod, Jeter, kind of as I mentioned already.
yeah. No, I mean, that's a good team for sure. Maybe one day I'll sit down and actually do like a best all-time Yankees team. That'd probably be a pretty fun like video to make or something.
Yeah, honestly.
Pretty good idea.
That might be something we have to see on Yankees Avenue coming up next.
Yeah, man, you're inspiring me out here.
Cool. So I think I'm pretty much good on questions and stuff. You want to open it up or you want to kind of close it out, whatever you're good with.
Yeah, I mean, I got nothing, man. It was a fun time. I enjoyed it. I'll come on really anytime.
Cool. Yeah, thank you so much again for having the time to sit down with me. I appreciate it.
Of course, man. Anytime. Absolutely.
So again, that was Dan Alan Rourke from Yankees Avenue, and that is on all platforms, Yankees Avenue, correct?
You got it. Yep.
All right.
Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, all that. And probably some more I'm forgetting.
I'm going to throw the links down below in the description, but that's going to end it out for this one. Thank you again to Dan Alan Rourke. I'll see you all next time. Peace.